When Karen stormed down to my dock, yelling that I was illegally using the lake and threatening to call the HOA, I almost dropped my fishing rod laughing. She was about to learn something the hard way. Not only did I have full rights to the dock,
I own the entire lake.
what started as a peaceful summer retreat quickly turned into one of the wildest HOA showdowns ever. And I had every legal receipt to back me up. I moved out to Ridgewater Lake to escape the noise, not invite new drama. After retiring early from my job in land development, I bought a gorgeous slice of waterfront property, about 15 acres of wooded land surrounding a private lake just outside a gated HOA neighborhood. The lake had been long forgotten by the community. The previous owner sold it off years ago due to rising taxes. No one cared about it, until I cleaned it up. I built a cozy cabin, set up a private dock, stocked the lake with trout, and kept everything clean. It was my peaceful paradise. That is, until Karen showed up. I first saw her when I was setting up a hammock between two old oaks. She wore a visor, a pink jogging suit, and had a clipboard tucked under one arm. That clipboard was a warning sign.
"Excuse me,"
she called, walking across my gravel driveway without invitation.
"do you live here?"
I stood up, polite but cautious. "I do. Can I help you?" She looked around as if sniffing for a violation.
This entire lake is HOA property. You can't just camp out here or dock a boat.
I smiled. "Actually, ma'am, I own this land. The lake, too." She scoffed.
Impossible. I'm the HOA vice president. If you don't remove that dock, I'll be forced to issue a citation.
A citation? For fishing on my own lake? I kept calm. I bought the land and the lake 2 years ago. I have the deeds, maps, water rights, everything. Karen wasn't hearing it. "I'll be contacting the HOA board. You're not allowed to build structures or operate boats here, period." Then she turned and marched off like she'd won some battle. I figured it was over. Karen had a misunderstanding, an annoying one, but once the facts came out, it had all died down. I was wrong. The HOA invasion. The next weekend, I came back from the hardware store to find orange cones lined up at the end of my driveway. A cheap plastic sign read, "No trespassing, HOA properties." I stood there for a moment, dumbfounded. My private road, blocked. I yanked the sign out of the ground and knocked on her door. She opened it like she'd been waiting. "Removing that sign is a violation," she said, wagging her finger. "Karen," I said calmly, "you're trespassing on my rights. This is private property. I bought the lake from the state and the land from the original developer. It's not under HOA jurisdiction." She narrowed her eyes. "That's not what our records show." "Then your records are outdated." She slammed the door. It was clear now. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was personal. The fake eviction notice. A week later, I returned to find a folded paper taped to my cabin door, an official-looking HOA notice titled "Eviction Warning, Unauthorized Use of Community Lake." It claimed I had 10 days to vacate the premises and cease unauthorized activity. I nearly laughed. The document had typos, used a Gmail address, and wasn't signed by a legal authority. But still, it pissed me off. I called my lawyer, Jessica, and faxed her a copy. "Dan, this is fake," she said. "Completely bogus. But if she keeps escalating, we may need to respond officially." Jessica knew how HOA bullies worked. She'd won plenty of cases like this. "Let's wait and see what she does next," I said. I want to give her every opportunity to embarrass herself. And boy, she would. The neighborhood rally. Next weekend, I was raking leaves by the dock when a crowd showed up, about 10 people with folding chairs, coolers, and signs. "Save our lake, HOA property, not personal use. Remove the dock." Karen led them like a general, all the while pretending to whisper orders like she wasn't the one who planned it. They sat at the edge of the water, loudly accusing me of stealing community land and privatizing a public lake. I calmly approached. "Would anyone like to see the deed?" Karen waved me off. "Don't engage with him. He's not even a resident." "Actually, I pay more taxes than any of you," I said, "because unlike your homes, this land isn't under HOA. It's directly under county jurisdiction." I pulled out a laminated deed from my back pocket and held it up. "Here's the county parcel. Here's the lake, labeled as privately owned. Here's the tax receipt." Some of the crowd looked uncomfortable. A couple even started folding their chairs. Karen growled, "He probably photoshopped that." Jessica, my lawyer, had advised me to document everything, so I smiled and pointed to the camera mounted in the trees nearby. "Smile! You're all being recorded. Especially you, Karen." That dispersed them. But Karen wasn't done. A few nights later, I woke to flashing lights outside my cabin. Sheriff's deputies. 3 cars. Lights spinning. Karen was on the dirt road, arms folded smugly. "He's illegally occupying this lake. I'm pressing charges," she shouted. One officer approached my porch. "Sir, do you have ID and proof of ownership?" I calmly handed him a folder. Deed, purchase agreement, survey maps, tax receipts. He leafed through it slowly, then turned to Karen. "Ma'am, this man owns the lake." Her jaw dropped. "What? That can't be." "It can," the deputy said, "and it is. You're actually trespassing by being here right now." Karen's face turned bright red. Her lips moved, but no words came out. She stormed away into the night, mumbling something about calling her lawyer. The officer chuckled. "Mind if I fish here sometime?" he asked. "Bring beer," I replied. Karen had just embarrassed herself in front of the sheriff. She came in swinging with accusations and left stammering, her HOA dreams crushed by the weight of actual ownership documents. But instead of retreating quietly, she doubled down. 2 days after the sheriff incident, Karen organized what she called a community town hall at the HOA clubhouse. It was more like a smear campaign. Posters with my name and picture were plastered on the front doors. "Dan Morgan, stealing our lake." I didn't attend, of course. But one of the sane neighbors, Lisa, recorded the entire event and emailed me the video. It was a train wreck. Karen stood at the podium with a laser pointer and a badly photoshopped map showing the lake as part of the HOA. Her evidence? A decades-old blueprint, long since voided when the original developer went bankrupt and sold the land. "We cannot let outsiders destroy our community," she shouted. A voice from the back. "He owns the lake, Karen. The sheriff said so." Karen lost it. She started screaming, "He doesn't belong here. He's ruining everything." The room fell silent. Then Lisa zoomed in on the reaction of a board member who whispered to another, "We need to distance ourselves from her." That moment went viral on local social media. A clip titled, "HOA Karen loses it over lake she doesn't own," racked up over 300,000 views in 2 days. My turn to speak. Now that Karen had declared war publicly, I figured it was time for a little community diplomacy. I hand-delivered a short letter to every home in the HOA. "Dear neighbors, contrary to recent claims, I legally own the lake and surrounding land. You are welcome to enjoy it, within reason and with permission. All I ask is respect for private property. I harbor no ill will toward this community, only toward harassment and false accusations. Sincerely, Dan Morgan." Some neighbors wrote back. Some stopped by in person, bringing pie or craft beer as a peace offering. Even 2 board members visited to apologize for Karen's behavior and expressed interest in resolving things amicably. We struck an informal deal. HOA members could fish or kayak on the lake as long as they asked first and respected the posted hours. I even let the neighborhood kids swim on weekends. Karen? She hated it. Absolutely fuming. Now the whole community was hanging out on Dan's dock every Saturday while she watched from her window, stewing in silence. But Karen had one last trick. Just when I thought it was over, Karen went nuclear. She filed a false complaint with the county claiming that I was dumping waste into the lake and endangering local wildlife. 2 county inspectors arrived unannounced one morning. "Just a routine check," one said. "We've had reports of environmental violations." I sighed and invited them in. We walked the perimeter. I showed them my water filtration system, my compost setup, my non-toxic dock materials, and even the fish feed I used. One of the inspectors chuckled. "You're cleaner than most campsites we see," he said, "but protocol says we need to take a water sample." "Fine, take it." A week later, the results came back. Pristine, cleanest natural water in the county. The inspectors actually praised my efforts in an official report. But here's the kicker. When they asked who filed the complaint, I shrugged and said, "I have a guess." That was enough. Filing a knowingly false environmental complaint is a crime. The county issued a formal warning to Karen and notified the HOA board. The HOA finally had enough. At their next meeting, Karen was voted out as vice president. The board president stood up and said, "We are here to serve the neighborhood, not harass private citizens. Karen's actions are no longer representative of our values." She was furious, shouting about betrayal and conspiracies. She stormed out, knocking over a tray of cookies on her way. With her social capital completely gone, Karen tried to sell her house. But word had spread about her antics. Nobody wanted to live next to that woman who lost it over a lake. Her listing sat for months. Meanwhile, I made a bold move. I offered to buy her property. Through a mutual contact, I sent a message. Full market value, cash. One condition. I keep the flamingo statue in the front yard. She refused. At first. Then winter came. HOA dues piled up. No offers came in. 3 months later, she accepted. I paid in full, had the flamingo polished, and threw a neighborhood barbecue the following weekend, with a massive sign on her old lawn that read, "Welcome to Lake Karen, now under new management." The same neighbors who once watched from afar were now grilling burgers, kayaking, and laughing freely. Karen? No one knew where she went. Rumor had it she moved to a retirement condo in Florida, with no lake view. And finally, if you've been loving these HOA revenge stories and this one made you smile, consider subscribing to the channel. We've got plenty more tales where Karen meets karma, and believe me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now, back to planning the community paddleboard race on my lake.